Welcome into the Sports Buffoons Podcast. Let's get going out there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls out there of the world. Welcome on into the Sports Buffoons Studios here, based out of Lenexa, Kansas. Once again, we have the full Buffoon clan. Thank goodness gracious. JG to my right, Tanner Dawson to my left. What's going on, fellas?
What's up, everybody?
What's up?
Well, it's good to see you back in the saddle again after some time away. You spent some time over in Vegas last week, so I'm sure some of the fans out there miss seeing you on the set. So
how'd that
go?
By the way?
Allegedly, I was in Las Vegas. But I don't remember too much of that. So I believe you if you tell me that. But no, it was a great time. Yeah, there's never a bad time in Vegas.
True.
It's okay. There are a couple of bad times, but most of the time it's always amazing. So had a great time out there. Made some money playing some cards, and yeah, it's wonderful, man. Never been to Vegas before in December. First time ever. You know, I've been to Vegas like a couple of dozen times, but never in the month of December. So it was really nice out there. Not too cold. Probably about 39 degrees, maybe in the lower 40s.
Better than what we got now, right?
You know, it was nice, man. It was great.
I went to Vegas one year, and it was snowing, and it was actually better weather in Kansas City than it was in Vegas. So that was probably my worst.
I think
time
I remember that
out there.
Wasn't that a January trip?
January something, and it was. I think it was 3 years ago, maybe 4. And it was just in general not. That was probably my least favorite experience because Vegas is meant for the warm climate, hanging out, having a good old time. Maybe hitting the pool if you get a chance for that, and then just walking the streets. Where with this case, you just wanted to be inside and say screw it.
So speaking of pools, like I had been to Vegas, like I said, a couple of dozen times. I always was under the assumption that the pools always close, because we live in Kansas City. At some point, the pools have to close.
Yeah.
And I stayed at the Bellagio, and little did I know, those fucking pools are open in December. The same thing at the Aria. So I think some places they might close, but at a couple of hotels, they leave those fucking pools open all year round.
Are they heated?
Yes.
Like
they have to be heated, I would say.
Yeah, they're definitely heated, and it's got to be the high-end hotels like Bellagio. Like probably if I would have gone to the Luxor, they probably would have told me to go to hell rather than try to set foot in that pool. But some of the pools are open. I thought that was pretty awesome.
That's pretty cool, though.
Very nice. Well, it is Christmas weekend coming right up for you guys, so I hope you guys
sure feels like Christmas weekend, doesn't it?
Feeling good. Well, it feels cold. I don't know if it feels like Christmas. But
so if I was to tell you the cold front that moves in and everything, right? Wind chills.
Yeah.
If I was to tell you that Phoenix is going to feel like 22 degrees, don't you think that
22
North Pole has hit then? Because that's some Arctic air.
You're saying Phoenix is going
to feel like 22 degrees.
That's fake news.
That's pretty
I think
crazy,
that's
man.
fake news.
For Phoenix, that's pretty wild right there.
Don't take his word for it.
Look
listeners.
it up. I promise
you got to look that up on your own.
I'm the one guy that does the weather.
We're going to feel in the negatives, so don't worry. The wind chill is minus 24, I believe, coming up very soon. So
yeah, minus 28.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes, I suppose. So
should be fun.
It's too early in the year for this crap. Normally, we see this crap in January. Anyways, we're not the weathermen. We're the football men. So we're here to talk some sports with you guys out there listening. So Merry Christmas and fuck the Pro Bowl. So, yeah, obviously you guys.
Hey, watch your mouth.
You saw. We get one F-bomb a show. PG-13. You guys saw the Pro Bowl list came out today, as a matter of fact, about an hour ago. And some interesting names on the list, some not so interesting. The only one that really stood out to me, I guess, for the Chiefs' sake, is Orlando Brown making that at left tackle. And like I talked to you guys about earlier, the Pro Bowl is a celebrity contest of who's the most well-known name. And it has nothing really to do with what you did throughout the year. It has a lot to do with if you're a well-known athlete on the field and if your name has been put in the upper echelon of greatness just through the rankings over the years, even if you've really not done crap. And we see that a lot through linemen too. Linemen is a position where it doesn't really matter if you gave up the most sacks that season. If you're well known, you're going to get your spot in the Pro Bowl. That's just kind of how it goes. So anyways, the only reason I brought that up real quick, Tanner, figured I'd ask you if you have anything about the Pro Bowl you care about.
I am kind of interested in the new format they're going to do this year. right? So they're going to get rid of, no game essentially, but I think isn't like some kind of flag football game style.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
So yeah, the football's a little different.
So they're like I remember last year there was I was watching the flag football, like actual flag football league or whatever, and they were in the finals. So I turned it on, like, what the hell? And it was actually really entertaining. So I'm kind of curious to see, like, with this Pro Bowl, if that could be just as entertaining with players I actually know. To see players that we actually know play.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm more curious than I am disappointed or excited.
Well, don't you guys remember back? It wasn't that long ago either. And NFL Network would host these competition games between players. We used to see Trent Green, Donovan McNabb, all those kind of guys out there.
Throw contests, accuracy contests.
And it would be just all different kinds of things. To me, that was more fun to watch by far than the game itself of a Pro Bowl game. So I'm just hoping the NFL has something like that in store again. It's skills competition.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those. Like I said, I'm more curious to see the new format, see what they came up with over the last year. Last year's skills competition was kind of boring. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I was never entertained. Nobody was taking it full front, right, or anything like that. So I'm more interested in see what maybe comes of it this year. See if they get more serious with it.
Yeah. Well, that's a thing that's going on. Nothing too exciting, I guess, Pro Bowl wise. I mean, it's not as big of a deal now as it used to be, in my opinion. So we talked earlier, and we care more about All Pro by far as far as getting that award than we do about the Pro Bowl itself. So that's kind of how I feel about that. But by the way, I forgot to mention, guys, what we're sipping on, so that way the listeners out there can have one with us. So with that said, before we crack into the rest of our topics, Tanner, what are you sipping on?
So a cool machine over there. Been wanting to try it out for a little bit on some other drinks other than old-fashioned margaritas. Had a old-fashioned sample. Decided to do that for the show today.
Hold on, it's a Long Island, right?
Long Island. Sorry. I'm thinking Southern old-fashioned because that's what I've had nonstop.
It's a lot of goddamn liquor in a glass, basically.
3 different liquors, right?
Only 3 of those? 4?
No, it's vodka, tequila, and rum.
No gin?
No gin.
Okay.
So
that's fine.
So it's definitely a strong one for sure. I'm gonna probably feel this at the end of the show.
What I was telling you, you should have put ice in there, Tanner. That's gonna.
Well, I did put ice. I put ice in the shaker, then I didn't put ice in my glass.
But you want to put ice in the actual Long Island.
That was the one thing I messed up on. But other than that, it's actually pretty tasty.
All right, you enjoy that. That one glass is going to get him drunk by the end of the show.
Nah.
So stay tuned in the next 30 minutes, see what happens. JG, what you got going on?
Well, right now I've got a couple of Jell-O shots over here. I think we're saving a couple of those for later in the show. But other than that, I've got some Absolute Mandarin here. I used to drink Absolute with soda, and somebody told me it'd be good. Yeah, just order an Absolute and soda. But in the end, I realized it's better to just go ahead and drink it straight. So Absolute Mandarin, I think, is what we got right now. So just drink it straight out of the bottle. Tastes much better than if you mix it.
Very, very nice. I got myself, once again, a Jell-O shot too. So we're all going to have that here in just a moment. Otherwise, I got a Mike's Harder lemonade. As you guys know, I like to stay hard and sometimes harder. So I gotta keep that on deck at all times. So you never know when the duty calls for those kind of things. It's better than whiskey dick. Anyways, guys, moving right along. So talking about football here coming up this week is going to be interesting because we're rolling up on the playoffs. There's still going to be some situational things that come down to play as far as seeding. We're going to dive into that a little bit more here. I feel
like weekly drama in the playoff races for both sides of the NFL. So
I mean, it's easy for people to keep up with this. Like if you guys use ESPN.com and all that, you can plug in the ESPN playoff predictor type of deal.
Yeah,
and get on there and play around with it and make adjustments and see what it's going to take for each team to make it, or what kind of wild things you'd have to have certain seeds fall a certain way. That's a lot of fun to play with for sure. I think at the end of the day, we're getting to that point in the season where it's like, man, I just want to know. I just want to know how it's going to unfold. I just want to get to that.
Locks.
I just want to get it to that point because these last few weeks right now, I just feel like, all right, we know we're in. We won the division. The AFC West is wrapped up for the Chiefs, so we're excited about that. But the Chiefs going to be the 2 seed, the 1 seed, the 3 seed, 4 seed. What kind of wild things would happen coming down to the wire, especially considering the Bills do play the Bengals, which is going to be a hell of a showdown for the Chiefs' sake. going
Yes.
forward. But first and foremost, I must get this off my chest just for a moment. Those of you out there in the Twitter sphere of Chiefs Twitter, you guys are well known or well aware of what's going on with the crazy bank heist of Mr. Chiefsaholic out there, and while Jason's over there tongue lashing the Jello shot. So, guys out there listening, if you're not aware of what happened with Chiefsaholic, he is a well-known Chiefs Twitter guy, has like 35,000 followers on his account, and goes to all the games, and somehow has the money to just throw big chunks of money on parlays of $1,000, maybe $5,000 here and there. He's got a couple big bets on the line still. Patrick Mahomes to win MVP. He put $5,000 on that. Chiefs win the Super Bowl. I think he put $5,000 on that. And so he could win $100,000 right now just on those two bets alone. But come to find out about Mr. Chiefsaholic, he went missing for a few days.
Yes.
Chiefs Twitter kingdom anyway, went wild, going, "What happened to Chiefsaholic? What happened out there?"
They're
Oh my God.
looking out for their own. There's somebody that's most interactive on the.
It's been
Twitter
3 days,
sphere.
but I cracked up the most about the fact that everyone was like, "Come on, buddy, give me a sign that you're doing okay.
Couldn't
Come
find
on,
him.
come on, buddy, like just tell me you're all right. Like, oh, come on, where are you at?" And all this other bullshit. Like, you guys are such ridiculous words. So you guys are just ridiculous sometimes. Like, I'm not talking about you guys. I'm talking about the Chiefs Twitter kingdom out there are ridiculous because they just fall in this trap of like believing that anybody and everybody is just like this awesome, perfect person. Some dude who wore a wolf outfit for the last 4 or 5 years. You've never hardly seen his face because every time he does show his face, he has sunglasses on that cover half of it.
Correct. Yeah, you don't ever see.
You
it.
never saw his actual full face.
Don't even know his name.
Never knew his real name. He was literally just Chiefsaholic, and you guys bought into the bullshit. You guys bought in that he was this cool, fun, super fan that just had a lot of money and super inspirational and this and that. And 28 years old, runs multiple warehouses, graduated from K-State, and look what he's at now from working hard. Well, turns out he was actually robbing places like Walmart, places like banks along the way on the way to away games here and there. And it's just funny to me. And whenever this story came out, all I could do was sit back and enjoy it and laugh for a long time. And it was one of the best things because I was having my suspicions about the guy personally, just because all the things I just mentioned. I mean, the guy, you never knew his name. He also covered his face at all times. Never took the wolf outfit off, other than when he was at K-State games, where he would still wear sunglasses that covered
they're
almost
massive.
his entire face.
Yeah, they were massive.
He has the Patrick Mahomes sunglasses, right? And no one ever questioned anything. It is what it is, right? But we all just sat here. We're supposed to believe all these crazy things and lies that he told over the years, and about being a good guy. And there's so many people out there that bought into it. And I sit back. I'm like, man, why are we so naive? Why are people so naive and so easy to manipulate? And so I did do some digging myself about this. I was off the record, the one to do some digging and find out some personal information about the guy, to find his name,
Some info.
find out his arrest history, and so on, and let the news out there from there. Just because I didn't want to be associated with it. And I don't, now that we know how serious it is and how funny it is, I don't really care about that. I'm not worried about, anyone knowing that I did the research and dug up things like that, because it's not really of any importance. But here's my thing. If someone's willing to rob a bank in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Bixby, Oklahoma, Tulsa County,
Yeah.
you're probably willing to try to find someone that you dislike, or to try to come after someone who maybe you felt like did you wrong. So for me, I was like, yeah, I'd rather just stay out of it for now. Everyone else, please go run along, have fun with
Do
that,
what you got to do.
and do what you got to do. So, but anyways,
Yeah.
my main point of bringing this up to you guys was not that. It was about, so knowing this about the Chiefs super fans, we've dealt with X Factor, we've dealt with Helmet Man back with his.
See, I never heard of Helmet Man before.
Yeah, Helmet Man, the Chiefs super fans are crazy. Helmet Man is on the watch list. He's actually, some people think he had ties to the original World Trade Center bombing of not bombing, but
The World Trade Center stuff. Yeah.
of 1993.
He was on the FBI list.
Yeah, he was on the FBI list about that as far as someone to watch after. And so it's interesting. We had him, X Factor. Plus, we've had some other ones along the way that are pretty interesting.
I mean, the guy that punched X Factor technically shouldn't be on the list.
No, Red Extreme.
He's amazing.
Nah, he's fine. Red Extreme is normal. So he got thrown into the best by Pat McAfee.
Yeah,
on Pat
I
McAfee.
know.
He mentioned Red Extreme on the show. I'm like, Red Extreme. He's the
Red Extreme was the good guy. In this
Red Extreme is the one that knocked out X Factor. We all support him, so we're happy for Red Extreme. So, because there was no wolf costume worn during the burglary in Tulsa. But if you guys were to have a traveling bank robbing wolf costume outfit, I mean, wouldn't that be a good time? Wouldn't that be a good life? You could go to all your favorite games, go watch all of the games you want of the Spurs, and travel around and wear your costume everywhere.
They don't know who you are. No, it doesn't know your name. Like, why not?
No, it's amazing.
Let's be the way to do it.
And bet $5,000 a pop on parlays.
Yeah,
why not? Why not do that? That sounds like
who knows what else he did too on the side of things too.
Right, and he's like I said, he's 28 years old. So my thing is now going forward, whatever happens. His court date trial is tomorrow from this exact episode, and I don't think we're ever going to see him back on Twitter ever again.
No, probably not.
And if he does get back on Twitter, it's not going to be on the Chiefsaholic account.
No,
because it ain't going to work. It is going to be.
I'll ask you guys
bad.
this. Let's say he does come back to Twitter. What does he turn into? What other fan base, team, mascot, whatever you want to call it, does he try to go represent?
This should be a warning to all fan bases that super fans are fucked up.
They're crazy.
People who do these kinds of things are egotistical morons. Egotistical, narcissistic morons. And so, like, honestly, if you're a fan of, he's also a fan of the Phoenix Suns, by the way, was his thing. If you're a fan of the Dallas Mavericks, and all of a sudden you have a super fan pop up that starts going to all the games wearing some crazy attire all the time, and you might want to question that person. You might be like, all right, what's this guy up to? Like, I don't. You're crazy. I mean, this isn't like normal.
I mean,
behavior.
There's Hall of Fame super fans. Don't get me wrong. Right?
The Raiders have had a few, but
Raiders, the Steelers.
Yeah,
there's a good handful of super fans in the Hall of Fame.
What about the Jets guy, Ed? Ed, was he ever up to any no good? Or I'm not sure. You know what I'm talking about? Ed. I think he was like Ed the fireman, the Jets fan out there. He retired from going to games for a while, which is kind of weird to retire as a super fan. But he would lead the chant. So Ed was the guy that led the chant.
Jet super fan known as Fireman Ed.
Fireman Ed, that's it.
Simply grew tired of increasing harassment in the stands at MetLife Stadium.
Harassment what did he do wrong?
That's what I'm looking at.
So if he was getting harassed, here's the thing. No one's going to harass a normal ass super fan. Like if you're not up to no good, we're going to leave you alone. The Chiefs had Weird Wolf. We had a few other guys along the way. No one harassed them. Everyone was pretty fine, I think. Fireman Ed, who had been a Jets fan forever, if you're harassing him, was there a reason? Like, there's got to be a reason to be harassing your biggest super fan, I would assume. Some kind of backstory, because X Factor got to run around wherever he wanted over there at Arrowhead for a few years, and we all knew what he was up to. So, I don't know.
The reason for being upset, from what I can see here, is due to the fact that he was absent from games because he was not liking who I guess was on the field, and people were upset that he quit on the franchise, essentially.
Well, did he ever switch teams? I mean,
nope.
Maybe he was pissed off. Maybe it was his way of boycotting because the Jets suck.
That's all I can see here.
Maybe that was part. Maybe we need to have our guy from Let's Talk Sports come on, and we can get him on and talk about the Jets.
Yeah, real quick here, we do got some commenter. Jeremy, what's up, man? Thanks for hopping on here. Always appreciate you hopping on. He did say, you were speaking about parlays for a minute. He says he has an over-under NFC North parlay, and it's one Chicago loss from playing. So
who does?
Jeremy does.
So Jeremy has a parlay.
Yeah. So he had over 10.5 for Vikings, under 11.5 for Packers, over 6.5 for Lions, under 6.5 for Bears. So, And then he also states some super fans are not so bad. Some are straight lunatics. It's a fine line.
So I just got to throw out there real quick, like, I feel sorry for this guy, the bank robber guy, super fan, because, like, first of all, I think he should be, like, why wasn't he put in jail, like, a long-ass time ago? That's the first thing
I think this was the most severe, because he has a history of theft in his life.
In Utah, he got caught a couple times.
Which, actually, funny, Tanner, I did more digging on that. Actually, he at the time lived in Utah, but his actual robbing was in Hays, Kansas at the Walmart.
Really?
Walmart in Hays, Kansas. And that was in 2014 when he did that one. So, I think it was 2014.
I've done a few things at that Walmart, actually. I'm not going to say it on the air, but
I can only imagine.
It's a great place to get started.
Yeah.
But no, I'm torn with this guy's story, because I literally was in Tulsa like 2 weeks before this heist happened. And I took money from that city legally. Like, I went to the casino, I played cards, and I came home with $1,600. Now, he probably made more money than I did with the bank robbery.
For a minute.
But I'm just like, okay, I understand what this guy wants to do. He wants to go to Tulsa and rape them, take some money from that place. But I think he's got CTE. But more importantly, I just think that the first thing that I thought about when I heard about this guy was, you remember that song, Tanner, back in the late 2000s? I'm going to show my age here a little bit. Late 2000s, there was a song by Nelly featuring Paul Wall called, and it goes like, rob the jewelry store and tell him make me a grill.
Grills.
I feel like this guy listened to that song like 100,000 times and then took it literally. Okay, let's go rob the bank. And instead of making a grill, I'm just going to become a chief super fan and place all these fucking bets and get shit rich. And so
he did. He did for a while. He was shit rich for a while.
He did giveaways.
He's been
on Twitter.
doing this for a long time.
Yeah, he did giveaways on Twitter, and like he did a bunch of different stuff on Twitter.
Here's the thing: if you're throwing down a grand or more on these crazy parlays, then you're up to something. Like no sane person. 28 years old, unlimited money, and he runs multiple warehouses, is what he would claim, and stuff like that. It's like, no, there's more to this.
He hustled personally too,
and no one knows your name.
I feel sorry for the guy. He was not raised right by his parents.
Oh, so here's the funny
thing.
Speaking of which, go ahead, Tanner. Go ahead and tell him.
So this actually runs in this family.
It does run in the
family. Of course.
It runs in the family.
Just like the Las Vegas shooter. Like, I don't know if you guys looked into that. That ran in his family.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The guy that was, pumping bullets from Mandalay Bay. That thing exactly ran in his family.
5 years ago.
Yeah. Tell him about it, Tanner.
Go ahead, Tanner. About the family.
Oh, I'm just saying that they have a history of criminal. They have a history of like his mom's been in jail. Apparently his brothers are still, trouble with the law.
Yeah, and they lived in California for a while. So there's been arrest in California.
There's a
family.
lot with it. Apparently.
And so that's what happens with these people. They get inspired by what their parents did, which is exactly what happened with the Las Vegas shooter.
They don't escape it.
He was inspired by what his dad did, which was a lesser event, and the guy, he just wanted to do the same thing or better than what his dad did, which is pull off a mass shooting in Las Vegas.
Well,
so
here's the thing.
I'm telling you, these people are raised wrong.
Here's the thing. I don't even know what his dad's name is, but I know his mom is the one who's been arrested before in California. He might not have even had a dad, which should tell everyone out there you need to make sure you're a good father. So you two with your daughters, make sure that they're raised right out there.
Damn.
So
speaking truth with Mike.
But no, one of my favorite things too
Just
about
have a good family.
Chiefsaholic was talking about his graduation from K-State in 2016. And I did my own digging and research on this too, because I looked up the entire thing. And yeah, he had to not go to K-State. Never graduated from anywhere.
Lion sack of shit.
But he would go to all the K-State games. So this dude who lived
everybody believed. You made people believe.
He lived in California and Utah and kept moving the further east. And then by the time he was in his 20s, he lived in Platte County, actually, as a matter of fact. But by the time he was living out here around the KC metro area, like he just like adopted this like Chiefs, K-State fandom. Plus he liked the Phoenix Suns, and all this. Like that was his thing. And it's like looking back at this, I'm like, how much of an actual fan of these organizations is he? Like, was this just a whole freaking gimmick?
And that's the problem with society today, is that you have these people out there that, like this guy, it's like, you don't have to go to K-State. You don't have to care about K-State.
No.
But if you can convince people that you graduated from K-State
and go to the games,
it's real.
Take
hey,
pictures,
baby, it's real. It happened.
and that's a real thing. Like, it's incredible to me. It's absolutely
amazing.
incredible. It's one of my favorite stories of the entire 2022 year.
Gotcha. We do have another comment here. Michael has a great father from Dave.
Yeah,
Dave, yes, that is correct. I would have to agree with that.
Dave is a wonderful dad, as a matter of fact. So yeah, I agree with that.
And by the
statement
way,
right there.
you are the father. You are the father.
What's great, so my dad at a point in his life was a police officer, and so I feel like somehow, like, my mind, the PI work went into town for me a little bit, so I wanted to do some digging on my own, because I was tired of hearing people bitching for 3 days. Where's Chiefsaholic? Where's
See,
he at?
I only saw it for one day. Like, you must have.
No,
I didn't pay attention.
I'm on Twitter more than you are.
Correct,
And I'm part of the Chiefs Twitter community.
That is correct too.
So I'm
That's
pretty involved in it. But, like, I was tired of seeing people bitch about this guy. I'm like, you guys don't even know this person at all, other than he wears stupid wolf suit and makes a lot of money and does stupid parlays. Like, no one cares. And I was like, all right, I'm sick of hearing about it. I'm going to do my own research. And it took me 20 minutes to find his real name, which no one else knew. And to then from there on, once I had his real name, boom, I could pull up all of his history of arrest and also obviously what he did in Tulsa. And I was like, you guys out here whining all day long about, tell me you're okay. It took me 20 minutes to find out who he was, everything about his past, and what he did.
So for the record, are you taking full credit for that, or are you saying this is somebody that's just close to the Sports Buffoons that came up with that information?
He's taking credit.
No, I'm saying I did not want to be the one who originally put out the information.
Okay.
So I leaked the information to someone else who then sprayed it out on the Twitter.
So
sphere.
you're not the father then, is what you're saying.
Well,
You're not the father.
Can I say this? I planted the seed. So, I'm not the father, but I planted the seed. So whatever kind of surrogate wants to take care of that thing.
We do have a lot of sources around
Mr.
here.
Christian
That's all I can
Folsom
tell you.
out there, if you're listening, you are the man who hit my DMs, and I told you all the details. But I enjoy doing stuff like that. I enjoy.
You have looked a lot of crap up before. So.
I am very good at looking up things.
You
I'm
are.
very good at digging deep and finding things I probably shouldn't be finding, but I do it anyway. So that's just kind of my little instinctive type of personality, I would say. So
I agree.
Anyways, that topic it's a nonsense topic, but it's fun.
That is
And
fun.
I'm excited to see what happens and unfolds throughout the rest of this week and what goes on with Mr. Xavier Babudar.
What an interesting way just for Chiefs fans to finish out the year. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's
Just
all we
right.
need. That's all we
Well,
need
guys,
is another distraction.
It was
right?
1 year ago. The X Factor got knocked out and was walking around holding his.
With this hat still on. That's what bugs me. It's the X Factor hat.
The
in the
local
scrubs.
news had him on the screen walking down
Fox
the sidewalk. Oh, I didn't know. I broke my ribs when he hit me. He's like, he called me a meth addict, which I'm a cocaine addict and an alcoholic, but I'm not a meth addict. What kind of crazy people?
What are we?
If you guys have seen
doing?
videos of X Factor in the day where he's walking around this abandoned shop, flashing himself and just being a psychopath,
Chiefs have some winners.
Oh, first of all, if you were an alcoholic and you were a coke addict, how would you really know if you were a meth addict or not, or would you just be guessing at that point?
He might be guessing it. Oh, he probably was guessing. It's hard to say with him.
Yeah,
With Mr. X Factor, he's a special case for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, X Factor. I will say this: X Factor could have never gotten away with the things that Xavier Babudar did here in Chiefs Kingdom. So, X Factor was a little too stupid to get away with any kind of theft of that significance.
Caliber.
So,
by the way, now that we're talking about drugs, quick shout out to the Bellagio. When I checked into my room, there was a suspicious white powdery substance on my little office desk there. Can't say what it was, but I'm sure you can all figure it out. But the Bellagio. They were wonderful hosts to the JG last week.
Wouldn't be Vegas without it, right?
Yeah, wouldn't be Vegas without it.
This past weekend I stayed at Argosy and there was free beer in the fridge. That was kind of
Yeah,
cool.
you told me that. It was
wow.
Coors.
Yeah, there was
Right?
4 Coors Lights plus another beer as well, sitting in the fridge right there waiting for me.
Free beer, man.
Of course,
That's wonderful.
I did not take it though. I left it for the next people after me.
You're
because-
paying it forward.
Pay it forward.
Well,
That boy.
someone else probably paid it forward to me.
It's that time of year.
I looked,
You know
at the-
what?
I looked
It's
at the
that time of
expiration
year.
date on the beer and it said February 2023. I go, wow, normally Coors doesn't expire that soon. This has probably been around for a while. So I decided to leave it alone.
Just pay forward, man.
You know, I've always had a hint that you were like that, but now I know it's true. You have such a giving heart,
Yeah.
and you just want to pay it forward.
I wanted
damn
to
it.
give whoever had that room next some free beer because, the beers at casinos are, they're expensive.
I got to try to model my life after that. Just have a giving
Yeah.
heart.
What a
Seriously.
role model.
I just hope whoever had the rooms, they didn't have some young people that stayed there and, could have dug in there right away and grabbed some beers that, were maybe underage.
Yeah,
That happens here and there. Then I would feel
no.
really bad about it.
I'm not down with that. I don't want 17-year-olds drinking alcohol. That's not right.
I'd feel
That's
really
not
bad
right.
if that was the case.
What a topic. What a topic.
Well, moving right along, you guys and fellas. We'll talk more about that maybe a different day once more things come about the trial of Mr. Chiefsaholics. So I'm glad that the entire nation's gotten to have fun with that. I'll put it that way.
Oh, man.
But some more serious topics, as a matter of fact. So we did find out here this week, going into the NFL weekend, the Chiefs officiating crew is going to have Cleet Blakeman as running the show this week. Obviously last week we had a lot of issues with Carl Sheffers. We had a lot of issues watching the ending of that Giants and Washington Commanders game. So we have some problems with that we're going to dive into for a second. But I do want to point out one thing about Cleet Blakeman, considering we are a Chiefs related show, is that Patrick Mahomes is 4-6 in his career with Cleet Blakeman running the show. That's actually 38% of his losses of his whole career because he has 15 total in the regular season throughout his career so far. So you're telling me you have one referee staff who's handed him 38% of his losses in his career, and we're just going to go from Carl Sheffers, who we just witnessed as one of the worst officiated games
He is.
in a while, to now Cleet Blakeman, who has the biggest. I mean, here's the thing. If you're Patrick Mahomes, you're 4-6. Anytime you have a losing record on a Patrick Mahomes stat, it doesn't make sense.
Hashtag rigged.
It doesn't make any sense at all to see this unfold, to see Seahawks against Chiefs, Cleet Blakeman running the show in this game. Obviously, right away, it's concerning. I mean, right away, we don't want to see referees who've had some kind of officiating bias take a big role in controlling a game with the Chiefs or any team for that matter. We want to see fairly officiated games. So,
Yeah, it's a problem. I mean, if you're one fucking guy and you've got 6 Patrick Mahomes losses on your resume, that's a big fucking problem. That's why I'm hoping that people will hear this and we can call it out on this show, and that these guys will hear about it and they'll make some changes, because I think that, if you hear that and you're an NFL official and you hear that you have that record again, with Patrick Mahomes, you got to do something different. And I feel like we need to call them out right now.
But the NFL knows what they're doing. The NFL assigns these situations on purpose. So with that said, I mean, are they trying to purposefully put the Chiefs in a situation where the 1 seed is not available?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Them against the odds, I would say.
We need to create that narrative right here, right now, so that people will get that information out there and hear this, so that, okay, that officiating crew will all of a sudden realize the fact that we need to make this stuff believable, because right now it's unbelievable. Like there's no officiating crew that should have 6 Patrick Mahomes losses on their resume. So if we call them out right now, they can figure this thing out and say, hey, we need to be a little bit more fair in calling this game.
So you're saying they might overcompensate to hide their actual agenda
Yes.
of rigging games.
By creating a Chiefs blowout this week.
Okay. Well, Tanner, what is your thoughts on walking in from a Carl Schaefer's crew to a Cleet Blakeman crew who has a historical disadvantage for the Chiefs.
I got some little stats for you guys here. Surprisingly not, Carl Sheffers does not have the most total flags this season yet.
No, he did. Yeah, he does. He does.
Alex Kemp has 211 flags this season.
Okay, he has the most yards then.
It's
yards flagged.
if you're talking about yards flagged.
Yards flagged, Carl Sheffers.
Where's your yards? Yeah, yards wise, he's got it. Total flags wise, though, Carl Sheffers at 197, Trey Blake at 196, Scott Novak 196, Clete Blakeman 194, right there. And then we're going into home teams here. Luckily, Blakeman's down there way down there, about 83 flags this season. But if we look here, he is still considered basically top 5, top 6 in almost every category minus yards. Yards, he's about number 10. So look, we're not going into a better situation right now. Like it's already rough here that we're going into, and I keep clicking here. And he does have the per game flags. Clete Blakeman is 6.38 flags per game for the home team. But that's also 6.54 for the away team. So, look, it's not pretty. It's not pretty either way we go. Obviously, something needs to be done. I still don't understand why we don't have New York involved. I still don't understand why there isn't a team that watches every NFL game that's in the air. If we can call out guys that have concussions, we should be able to call out guys that miss plays, miss catches, or not miss catches, miss flags, whatever it is. And it needs to be taken care of, and it's not necessarily going to be at the game level. It's going to be more within the guys that are on the watching the game, essentially.
Yeah.
So
at the end of the day, you want accountability from referees. Correct. At the end of the day, because you want to watch the sport, and yes, mistakes can and will and do happen, and I think we all are understanding of that. We can all sit here and watch a referee make a mistake and come to an understanding of, yes, the game's moving fast.
It's faster than ever, and there's more plays like this than ever.
But the problem comes into play where you see a consistently historical problem with certain crews officiating certain players or certain teams, and seeing those kind of things unfold and certain situations. Because, Jason, I know you probably want to talk about what happened with Terry McLaurin this past weekend as well. So that was one of the most interesting calls I've seen in a long time, considering McLaurin came to the side. Any of us who played wide receiver in their past in high school or whatever, they know you go check with the referee. I played wide receiver for a small period of time when I was in high school, and you're taught with your coach, go check with the referee. You point at the referee, make sure you're okay. Make sure he gives you some kind of sign that you're good, and then that way you're lined up on the line of scrimmage enough to where you're considered as one of the 7 men who must be on the line of scrimmage. What we saw this past Sunday night, against the Giants and Commanders game,
that was rough.
Was that exact situation. McLaurin lined up like he'd been doing all game long, and then we saw a situation where you're at the 1-yard line. Brian Robinson punches it in for a touchdown, and in a very important, impactful time of the game, you see a referee make a call that affects the outcome of the game. Not to mention what happened after that at the very end of the game as well. So,
yep.
What are your thoughts on what happened and unfolded, and what's unfolding right now within officiating in the NFL?
Well, here's the thing about mistakes. So we're all human. We all make mistakes, and that includes NFL officials, okay? And we all understand that. I know as fans, we forget that at times, but they are human beings, and they do make mistakes as NFL officials. But my problem is when all of a sudden, instead of making mistakes, at some point, they're not mistakes. And that's exactly what happened in the Giants-Commanders game. That was not a mistake, okay? I want to be crystal clear here. That was not a mistake. That was done on purpose, okay? Because Terry McLaurin was given the go-ahead that he lined up in the correct position, okay? Everybody knew it. Everybody watching the game knew it. Everybody on the sidelines, the whole world knew that he was given the go-ahead to line up in the right spot. So when an NFL official throws a flag immediately, there was no delay. I mean, he almost did it. It felt like he did it before the play even started. Like he was totally ready. When things like that happen, I cannot give you a free pass because At that point, you're not a human being that just made a mistake. You are a human being that did something on purpose. Now, what was the reason why you did that? That's what we can debate back and forth. But I know there's a lot of people on this show and a lot of people out there probably think that there are certain NFL games that are fixed or rigged or whatever you want to call it. When it goes from NFL officials making mistakes to NFL officials not making mistakes and doing things on purpose blatantly to the point where it's obvious to the entire world and you don't care, that's when we've got a problem in the sport of the NFL. Because Terry McLaurin did everything right on that play. And that fucking official did everything wrong because he gave Terry McLaurin the go-ahead and immediately threw a flag for him. And, you know, when you cost somebody a touchdown, when the game ended up, I think it was 20-12 was the final score. If you are going to blatantly take a touchdown away from an NFL team, we've got a problem, guys. And this is not a fair sport. And I know we've talked about it on this show for a while now in terms of, you know, as a big NBA fan, I always bring up Tim Donaghy and what happened in the NBA and the scandals that they had in the NBA way back when.
There's a lot of sports betting and mafia involved in Tim Donaghy's situation.
I mean, just throw another example out there. Mike, you and I went to an NFL officials convention no more than like a year and a half ago. And they used to have this convention. I'm not going to tell you where it is or what state it was in, but Mike and I went there.
We got to actually speak with and hang out with NFL officials, head referees. In fact, one of them refereed a Super Bowl of not too long ago. So.
And these guys had this convention for years. And this just happened to be the first event that we were invited to. And now all of a sudden this year it's been canceled and it was not rescheduled. And we don't know if it's ever going to happen again. But one of the questions I asked those guys at the convention was, do you guys fix games? Do you guys have such a thing as payback calls? And I think they were shell-shocked when I asked them that question. But I'm sitting here now asking myself, why was that whole thing canceled? Was it because those guys weren't available, or was it because I asked them a question that was the wrong question that they were not prepared to hear?
Well, they didn't really like those questions you asked by any means. And I think that, you know, first of all, they immediately denied any kind of idea of fixing a game. But I think more than anything that I was curious to see the reaction towards was about makeup calls, because we feel like we see that a lot in the NFL, of a makeup call here and there. And it was one of those things where it was a long-worded statement in response to that question there about how they do not purposefully have makeup calls in the NFL,
which is exactly what I would expect them to say.
Right.
I had to have them
say anything else.
He gave the answer that I expected, but
the key is to read between. At that point, you're reading body language. You're reading between the lines and what he's saying and this and that. So, yeah, we sat there, and I did enjoy that you asked those hard questions, because you were asking questions that no one else in the room was asking. Everyone else was probably thinking the same thing, but terrified to ask it. You asked them, and I think it took them off guard a little bit.
It's just amazing.
Wow, someone's actually trying to call us out right now.
And it's just amazing to me that those guys didn't come back. And I'm just wondering, am I the reason why they didn't come back to hold this little convention again? Because, you know, like, what do you have to hide? What do you have to hide? Why would you not come back and have the same gathering that we've had every single year? I mean, I just feel like these people are hiding something, but you know, at some point it becomes too obvious with some of these calls. And, you know, what is it? I mean, are these guys gambling on games like Tim Donaghy did back in the day in the NBA? I don't know what the answer is, but somebody needs to call these bastards out, because I, for one, am not going to put up with it. And especially when you got a guy like Patrick Mahomes, like we talked about, going into a game where he's got a horrible record with this one guy. Like, come on, guys. Like, I know you're going to try to make it fair, and the Chiefs are probably going to win this game, and everybody's going to be happy and shit. But at some point, we need to have, like, a reality check with these fucking officials.
Well, Tanner, I have a question for you about this because a lot of people out there want to talk about how the referees are not full-time and how they're part-time referees. Most of them have secondary jobs, and most of them, as we talked about, are lawyers, etc. And most of the time it's some kind of legal field, which would make a lot of sense when it comes to betting, for them to have that as their background. But so looking forward, so the NFL does actually have, I think, a few full-time referees now hired. Not all of them are, but I think a few of them are. But the main thing is I see people talking about this as far as hiring full-time referees in the NFL and how that could make some kind of a difference. I personally do not think it makes any difference at all, whether they're full-time or part-time, as most of them currently are.
No, because they can still be bought.
Exactly. So if anything, if you're full-time, you're more controlled. So if you're more controlled by the thing that's paying you, the product, then at that point, you're just even more of a robot for what the NFL is wanting their outcome to be. At that point, the NFL can literally be WWE because WWE referees are also full-time. So, you know what I mean? They can stage things in the way that they would like. So even more so than they currently do now, I believe. But so my question for you, Tanner, is just what are your thoughts on the idea of how to improve officiating in the NFL? I know we've talked about this in the past, but is there a way to fix it, or are we just doomed and we are just, our hands are tied to have to deal with watching a product that feels very fake in a lot of situations?
I mean, it does feel very fake. My buddy Dave and I, we were texting back and forth about it, how it was almost so bad we wanted to just turn it off. But, we're investing in our team. Talking about full-time officials, there's 24 full-time officials currently in the NFL out of the 121 personnel. So, in that, looking through the list here, that does not include Carl Sheffers, just so you know. So the head ref, actually looking like majority of the head referees are not full-time in the NFL, which is kind of weird because you expect your full-time
to be your main guy,
your referee crew guys be your main, full-time guys.
You would assume so.
So that's kind of odd. But I think with the game on how it's progressed over the last 20, 30 years, the speed of it, the players' ability have increased. Like they're so much more flexible, so much more agile, be able to be playmakers essentially. And it makes it so much harder on these refs. I don't want to say put more out there, but I've said it before. Literally, you have people that watch the game. You have all these different TV angles. Make it a little easier on your crew. Like, I know they're going to be the ones to take the blunt force, but you can, they're already in people's ears. Why not be in the ears of a Carl Sheffers and be like, hey, by the way, that actually wasn't holding while they're discussing, because they always group up and discuss, right? So why can't you just be an easy call real quick of, no, that was not holding, and pick up the flag?
But why would you do that, Tanner? Because it makes it impossible for you to fix games if you're doing that. I understand we want to make it fair. I'm saying if you're fixing the games,
I'm not going on the outside of fixing. I'm saying I'm not even looking at that part.
Okay.
I'm not going to say anything about that. That'll actually probably tell it even more if games are fixed or not.
But they wouldn't be able to. That's my whole point. They wouldn't be able to fix it.
Correct. That's the whole point of us fixing this.
Right.
Is to be able to fix it.
And I agree with you on that.
Is using those guys.
Fix the fucking game.
We see it on the TV. We see it on the replays. They see it on the angles. These guys are like, when you're watching it live, you don't see those. You don't see that turf, go up, that green grass, right? Those plays that are this close, that extra replay, you don't see that. And like live up front, you need that replay. You need those guys upstairs that can easily rewind it real quick and see what they need to see, make the call, and they continue the game.
And by the way, when I said fix the game, that's not what I meant. I meant fix your damn calls.
Yeah.
Fix the way that you call the game.
That's how. Well,
please
that's
stop fixing the games.
It's look at it, fixing it to not fix it. It's what the supports is needed currently for this day and age game. Is the way stuff is going, how quick it goes, how just the how close the plays get. Nowadays, it seems like that if you're watching it just right there, even if you're down in the angle, you don't know, right? You may not know. You may have thought you saw something else and it didn't work out. So I still think having a 3-4 man crew, per game, with the referee crew watching within the TVs in the guy's ear, be able to help dictate some of these calls will help tremendously. I really do. Use your technology, for God's sake.
I think part of the problem is I think we're watching officiating getting worse as time goes.
Because of the way the game is.
But, because the game has become so subjective as well.
Subjective.
Because when the game is subjective, that means you can literally use your own feelings and emotions to dictate what you want to call. And I feel like that's a major problem, especially in today's society, when it comes to feelings and emotions dictating your actions.
Use your guys. I think that support you.
That's a major issue we see right now. Yeah. If I look at college football, and we all watch college football as well, I don't see nearly as many awful calls in college as I do in the NFL when it comes to dictating the outcome.
There's some bad one, but it's not. It's usually for different stupid rules.
I know, but I never feel like when I watch a college game that I'm watching them try to dictate the outcome of a certain drive or game or spread. When I sat there and you watch that Chiefs Texans game and there were 6 penalty flags thrown on that one drive against the Chiefs, you're watching them literally try to hand 6 points to the Texans on that drive.
Well,
I don't see those types of things happen in college football to where they dictate the entire outcome of the drive by subjective, emotional based calls.
So even more, right? So it was that field goal that Texans made to tie it up, and there was a flag, and then they called no flag. Essentially, they were trying to give the Texans another opportunity, is what I felt. Because it was blatantly obvious. Like Carl Shepard blatantly obvious.
Well, that was the thing. Because if you missed it or if something went wrong, then we got to make sure we take care of that. Otherwise we could.
James Harrison fell down. Oh, wait, that's not the right game.
But that's why I'm thinking they're going to do the Chiefs right in this next game, because they threw so many damn flags in that game. The Chiefs got killed by flags in that Houston game. It's almost like, okay, we got to come back to reality and do the Chiefs right.
Realize, I mean, if we're going to talk in the art of, let's say, NFL is actually fixing games, right? If we're going to go into that kind of talk real quick.
You don't even have to go that far, Tanner. I'm just talking about being emotional.
They want the Bengals back in that one spot, or they want the Bengals in the one spot.
I don't know about that.
That's what's happening. They want the Chiefs. They need the Chiefs to lose.
I don't know about that. I'm not even talking in terms of rigging games. I'm just talking about what Mike was talking about in terms of emotions and how things work on a pendulum. The Chiefs got screwed in that last game with all those flags. At some point we need to come back to reality. And I think their emotions are definitely involved in this.
So here's an interesting stat. I was looking here through the referee crews while you guys were chatting. Alex Kemp, I talked about him being the most total flags this season currently, right? Through 13 games, 14 games is what he has had ref. He's had 50 dismissed flags.
It's a lot.
50. The next one down is 36 by Sean Hockley at 192 total flags.
Wow.
That's how big. Like, would you rather have a crew that might throw flags, but they may not call it off? Or is it like, do you want guys that are down here in the 14 range, the 14 dismissals, but 161 flags?
I hate that shit. I hate it when they say there's no flag on the play.
No flag on the play.
All right, dude, you're fired. Next man up. That's what we do. That's what we do with the players.
Look at this.
You're throwing too many flags.
Right?
Look at this.
Hey, what happened to Isaiah Pacheco? He got benched when he fumbled the ball. If you throw a flag, there's no penalty on the play. Okay, you're getting benched, asshole.
You know what the best part is? Per game, total flags per game for Alex Kemp and crew, 16.23. The next one down is Carl Shevers at 15.15. Dismissed rate per game, 3.85. That's 3.85 dismissals.
4 flags per game.
The next one down is Sean Hockley, Bill Vinovich at 2.77 dismissals.
See, if you're picking
that's over one.
If you're picking up that many flags, it tells me that you had an opportunity. You gave yourself a 50-50 shot. Let's see how this play unfolds. And then depending on how it unfolds, we can go either yay or nay on the throw.
All I can say about those
more
guys.
Discussion, maybe? That's what I want to know. I guess we'd have to look into it.
Seriously, if those guys have a small cock, fix your dicks and move on.
So
Because I'm not here for it. I don't want to see that shit anymore. If you have a small cock, don't try to make up for it with all these ridiculous fucking calls. I'm sick and tired of it.
Real quick here, I want to go down just a couple of the games that Alex Kemp and them did. The week 1 was Atlanta, New Orleans. Jacksonville, Indy was week 2. Miami, Buffalo, that they had 11 flags in, 16 in the week 1, by the way. Next one was the big one would be San Fran, Kansas City. They had 18 total flags in that one.
Jeez.
10 on the home, 8 on the away. The next big one after that, I'd have to say, is the Philadelphia-Washington game, the Monday night game, where there's 12 flags on that for 133 freaking yards. Third most actually on the season. And then finally, this past Thursday, the Seattle San Fran game, where they had 15 flags for 139 yards, second most from that crew in yardage. So
we'll see if we run into Alex Kemp again this year. I mean, with the NFL, the way they do things, you get awarded for good officiating. That means you get to work playoff games, right? And so if the NFL thinks you did a good job, that means you get to go work playoff games and eventually the Super Bowl if your crew did such an amazing job. So who the NFL chooses moves on to work the playoff games should tell you guys everything we need to know about what the NFL likes and expects from their crews. So I'll
by the way, I misspoke just a moment ago. I meant to say small hands.
Oh,
they have small hands, and they're trying to make up for that by making shitty ass calls.
I thought you meant
small hands,
cock hands. It's the same thing.
Did you mention where Clete Blakeman was when we had him last?
He was,
or what game he did for us this season?
What was that?
Tennessee game. 18 total count flags, 120 yards, 10 for the home team, 8 for the away team.
Yeah,
but 10 for 69 yards. Nice.
At least we have something good going for us, I guess. So I'm going to do this Jello shot, and then we're going to talk about Brock Purdy. How about that?
That's Brock Purdy time.
Brock Purdy time. We're going to talk about
Shoot it, Tanner. Shoot it.
There's like some more.
How are we doing Jello shots on the show?
What are we, 12?
21 again?
I spiked it. It was already spiked, but I had to spike it again because I knew it would be weak.
Am I at homecoming again?
I knew it was going to be weak, like those small-handed officials that we were just talking about.
And have a midnight dumpster baby, from homecoming. Do some Jello shots.
I see when you
go to the bowling alley.
All I hear is Family Guy. That's all I hear.
So I'm going to go first on Brock Purdy. So
even very good. Who made this shit?
This is actually the Shelly Galley, one of Connor's. So Eric's old boss, Connor's friend, dad. They're a great family.
All right, so let's. Yeah,
it's
great. It's great shit. So let's kick it off with Brock Purdy here. So the guy is called Mr. Irrelevant. So obviously we got to talk about, last pick in the draft. Why does everybody think that he is such a shitty player? Because
who said
Brock Purdy.
Who said he was shitty?
A lot of people out there because his draft stock wasn't that good. I mean,
because of his draft,
he's 6'1", right? Not a whole lot of arm strength, although he's very accurate. But I mean, right now he's got 67% completion percentage, pass rating of 100, QBR of 68%. I just think that this guy, he's got everything handed to him at this point in his career because he's got Kyle Shanahan. You got an elite defense. You might be going to the fucking Super Bowl this year, right? And so I just feel like while I'm not a big fan of his overall talent, I think that he's in the right place. And, he's definitely probably going to be a better player than Jimmy Garoppolo, which is not saying much. But I just think the fact that he's in the right place with Kyle Shanahan, that's going to give this guy a really good chance to have maybe not like a Hall of Fame career, but a really, really good career because of the team that he's on.
So you're saying you're a believer then in Brock Purdy?
I think for what he is, I'm a believer in him for being like, I'll say he's an NFL starter. which, again, that's not saying much because we've got Baker Mayfield in the fucking league. We got Sam Darnold. We got a bunch of NFL starters that, I guess you wouldn't say are worth too much of a shit. But I do believe that he's NFL starter caliber. And I think on that team, on that roster, like he's a really good game manager. And I know that sounds like an insult. Every time you say, oh, that guy's a good game manager, like you think that you're insulting the player. But I think he's going to be a decent player in the league.
Yeah, I look at the situation he's in right now, and we talk about here from time to time about basically quarterbacks who are system quarterbacks. And I look at the system that he's in there in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan, who is a coach that I respect a lot as far as in his play calling and the way his style is ran in San Francisco. The reason why they are a pretty consistent winner these days is because of his his skill set and play calling and his style of coaching and just basically the way he runs his offense mixed with a elite defense most of the time. So when I look at Brock Purdy's situation right now, I truly feel like you could plug in Mark Sanchez and this would be a good team still. And what I mean by that is we're looking at a situation where Jimmy Garoppolo, who by all means is no special quarterback. He's a bottom tier quarterback in my
Mark
opinion.
Sanchez.
That's a compliment. I feel like that's a
Mark
compliment.
Sanchez.
When he said Mark Sanchez, that was the first thing that came to my mind. I thought he was complimenting him.
Well, you guys can take that how you'd like.
He was on the fucking Jets for crying out loud. Jiminy Christmas.
My point is basically you can plug in certain or pretty much any quarterback who is at least got some kind of an average skill set into this team right now and make them look good through it. And I'm not a believer in Jimmy Garoppolo and what his skill set presents. I think he's a below average quarterback in the NFL. I think he has a really awesome team around him when it comes to things that help you succeed as a weak quarterback in the league, kind of like what happened with the Jets with Mark Sanchez when they had the best defense in the league mixed with a great running game. That's why he went to the AFC Championship game, was because of those things around him. I think if you take these players like Garoppolo out of this, put them even for sake of a healthy Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman in Indianapolis with the Colts, I think he fails miserably. Just right up there with almost as bad as Matt Ryan, probably. I'm not a believer.
So you think Brock Purdy is a what are we talking about? We talked about the other day about tryhards.
No.
Who's a tryhard that plays for the Chiefs that you want to compare Brock Purdy to?
I'm not talking about tryhards. I'm telling you guys, Brock Purdy is a product of a elite system.
Absolutely.
An amazing system that can be ran by anyone with at least an average skill set.
Absolutely. And that's why I said the guy's not going to be a Hall of Famer. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, he could take them pretty deep into the playoffs.
Is this a question of Brock Purdy going somewhere else and starting? Or what are we doing?
No, the conversation here is because we're talking about the 49ers and what's going to happen with this team. And Brock Purdy obviously has won his games he's played so far, right?
Yes, correct.
So with that said, there's a lot of people out there asking, okay, is Brock Purdy, he's Mr. Irrelevant. We shouldn't be calling him that because, that's disrespectful.
I love that name,
he's actually very, very relevant. And maybe he's the next Tom Brady. He was a 7th round pick and all this and that. And, the guy all of a sudden is plugged right in, playing at a high level. I'm telling you guys, we're witnessing literally the product of an elite system. This guy just happens to be the next man up. Whoever is behind Brock Purdy right now, you could plug him in. You get a similar result. Maybe not.
I think you go that far down, you're not looking as hot.
Okay? You're not. He's nothing special.
So, no.
He's very accurate, but his accuracy, though, coming out of college, like he was a very accurate passer.
An Iowa State guy that set records in Iowa State, right, as a quarterback. He was very great in Iowa State as a quarterback. There's a reason why Iowa State went to bowl games. It's because of Brock Purdy, the way he plays. So,
I'll tell you what, it wasn't Brock Purdy. It was a certain running back that played for the Jets this year.
There's also that guy.
Before an injury.
It helped.
The best running back in the entire nation last year is probably a big part of why that team was so good.
Also setting records with it too, okay? So you got a little combo there between Purdy.
Will you at least give me that he's Jimmy Garoppolo 2.0?
No!
Can you at least give me that much?
Hey, I'll give you there's an opportunity for it.
There's an opportunity.
There's an opportunity for
Jimmy G 2.0. Better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
I think Jimmy Garoppolo sucks.
So, that's fine,
for
but
me,
the fucker made it to a Super Bowl.
he did.
Right?
Because
So
of
if I'm
an awesome
Jimmy
coach with an
Jimmy
elite
Garoppolo
defense,
2.0, then I should make it to a
Yeah.
Super Bowl too, damn it.
awesome coach with an elite defense. This team the 49ers have right now is basically the exact same team that we saw face the Chiefs just back here in
That's
2020.
great. That's
so,
fine. They got Christian McCaffrey. So let's go to the Super Bowl.
I'm saying
Before I
See
go,
what happens.
same team.
Before I go on my little tangent, because I've already done this on Thursday night post game show last week about Brock Purdy, but Dave here says, "Give me Kittle, CMC, Samuel, and that D, and I'm a championship QB."
Dude, I'm begging.
That's what I mean. I mean, you have that. Plus, you have an amazing OC.
Dude, if you're a Chiefs fan, you're begging for that matchup. I want to see the Niners again in the Super Bowl. I'll take that all day long.
If the Eagles lose in the playoffs to the 49ers, it'll be a shocker.
It would,
because this Eagles team is pretty serious.
Their
It's
defense is
pretty
really
legit.
good, and their offense.
This Eagles team is the best team in the league.
They're fine, but is Jalen Hurts going to come back fully
No.
healthy?
We have to.
We don't
have
know.
to assume.
I mean, why wouldn't
We
he
have to
just sit out for
assume-
2
we have to
weeks
assume so right now.
if he clinches?
I mean, the playoffs aren't for another
It's
3 weeks
fine.
anyway.
They're
so
gonna have a first round bye, and he's gonna come out rusty.
we'll see. We'll see how that unfolds down the stretch. But
I understand the hate. I understand the
I'm not trying to hate Tanner.
I understand the realism that you're trying to throw out here. Is Brock Purdy is not a starting caliber quarterback, which is fair. I would not put him on any other team.
I'm just
Right.
telling you he's not necessarily legit. I'm telling you he's in a perfect
No.
situation.
I'm not saying. I don't want to say he's legit either. Like I'm not saying like he, put him in any other situation and he capitalizes. What I'm seeing here, and I'm a big 49ers hater with Jimmy G or Trey Lance in. I hate both of them in. And you see the inconsistency in the offense when either one of those quarterbacks are in. What I've seen the last 3 weeks with Brock Purdy is an offense that actually marches down the field, executes, keeps the ball from turning over, and is able to make those extra passes, able to make those decisions of trying to get the ball out versus taking the sacks, taking the losses. And most importantly, keeping the drive alive. What happens to a bad or a good defense when you can't keep the drive alive? You start allowing points. Look at the Broncos situation, right? Their defense holds them in games for so long, but if you're being outpossessed by 15 minutes, it doesn't help a thing. When Brock Purdy can march down that field, give them a chance to breathe, that defense, and also try to put points on the board, which he mostly does. Look, I'm not saying that you can take him and put him on the Rams and that's going to be the same damn thing. I'm just saying for this system here, I love what I'm seeing Brock Purdy. And honestly, I don't think I've seen that offense run more smoother with Jimmy G or Trey Lance.
So could we say his ceiling is Drew Brees, because Drew Brees was short? Drew Brees had an amazing fucking coach.
I'm okay with that.
Is that his ceiling?
I'd say
He's
a
fucking
ceiling-
6'1".
If we're going to say a ceiling, right? And like a big broad here of range, I love Drew Brees as that fact. We talked about that last
You
Thursday.
guys actually freaking think Brock Purdy is going to be the most accurate quarterback in the history
No,
of the NFL
no.
That-
as
I'm
a
saying-
ceiling?
That's his
You think there's
ceiling,
any
dude.
We're not saying
No,
Matt
this
stat
is
for
stupid.
stat.
Dude,
This is
Drew
stupid.
Brees.
No.
Drew Brees only won one fucking Super
I
Bowl,
don't
dude.
care.
Big fucking
You
deal.
guys are
Jimmy
literally
Garoppolo made
saying-
it to a Super
I'm
Bowl.
You guys
saying-
are literally saying
From an
That's not a big
efficiency
fucking
standpoint.
difference.
You're saying to me, Mr. Irrelevance upside
An
is the most
efficiency
accurate quarterback in the
standpoint.
history of the league, plus the most yards in the history of the league at the time of retirement, I think.
We won't know till then.
Drew
but
Brees was short,
Are you
man.
kidding me?
That's all I'm
I
saying.
like what I'm seeing. I like what I've seen.
Hey,
What is going on with
do you think that Drew Brees would have done shit without Sean Payton? Probably
Drew
not.
Brees would have loved being with the
He wouldn't have
49ers right
done
now.
shit
Put his
without
ass
Sean
in the
Payton.
49ers
And
right
you
now. He
fucking
does
know
better
it.
than Brock Purdy.
You fucking know he
Why do you
wouldn't
think
have done
Tom Brady
shit.
wants to go there? Tom Brady wants to be with the 49ers.
I
Right?
still got a kid sleeping, all right? We got to watch it here in a little bit.
His ass compared him to Drew Brees.
I'm
as an
aware.
upside.
As a
And
if
you
we're talking
agreed.
about a long range ceiling,
It's
sure.
Brock Purdy, baby.
And it ain't gonna be a
Get
Tom
used
Brady
to
or
that
Patrick
name.
Mahomes or anything
What
like
is
that.
No,
wrong
it's
with
not.
you freaking people?
A guy that sits with the team for a
Dude,
long time. and
It
does
only
stuff.
takes. Get
That's
this
what
in
it
your
is.
get this in your head right now. It only takes a Trent Dilfer to win a fucking Super Bowl. Okay,
And Trent
get that
Dilfer
in your fucking
was
mind right
never
now.
anywhere near Drew Brees.
we're saying on the high side of things. Like I'm looking on the low side of Drew
No.
Brees.
Well,
Low side of Drew Brees.
okay, let's do let's
Stays,
dude.
stays
up
with
some
the
more
same
turds.
team for about
Just
20 years.
it's Brock Purdy time. Just get used to
Look,
it, man.
I'm
get
just
used to
saying for the fact that I like what Brock Purdy's doing. I believe in what Brock Purdy can.
let's put
continue
it this
here.
way. He's between Drew Brees and Brody Croyle. Somewhere between
actually,
somewhere
you know
between
what?
the two.
I'll take that.
He's somewhere
I'll
between
take
the
that.
two of those two players. He'll find himself right somewhere
I'll take
between
that.
those two. As
Look,
here's your upside, here's your downside.
this is-
which means you could literally beat any motherfucker in the whole league. God,
Josh Allen, dude.
sometimes you guys piss me off.
What if you put Geno on the Niners? You were once built a big believer in Geno.
Geno's played a really
But
good. He made the Pro Bowl.
You like Geno? If you put
If you
Geno
put Geno on the 49ers,
Niners,
that's a Super Bowl team.
he's
I don't know.
Okay, well, they're already a Super Bowl team.
I don't know
What are
if
you saying?
Gino
right now?
runs that offense as well. I don't know if Gino actually does
Dude,
that
they're
offense.
going. To,
49ers?
they're
Yeah.
going to the Super Bowl.
He would be great with that offense.
What's
Look,
the difference? They're going to the Super Bowl.
I'm just
anyway.
stating that right now, like the fact that you went from Trey Lance, which I'm a non-believer in right now, Jimmy G, even more a non-believer right now. I would go like I said, I'm just saying through 3 games watching this offense, like Jason picked it one week and I laughed at him because I was like, that's the most inconsistent offense that you can ever have. This time, if you were to pick them, I'd actually be okay with it. Just because of the fact that it seems like Brock Purdy can run this offense way better than Jimmy G and Trey Lance on a more consistent basis. That's all I'm saying.
He's a
Through 3
big baller.
games.
Get used to it. He's a big baller.
I
man.
regret bringing this whole
He's a
conversation.
big
No,
baller.
I like Brock
I
Purdy.
regret
big
Brock Purdy.
fucking baller. Get used to it.
I want to take back the Jello shot. Even.
Dave-
I want to throw it back up. I'm sick of this.
Dave says he's no Davis Mills. Jesus Christ. Look, he is not Davis Mills.
Well, what are we saying here? Are we saying he's better than Baker Mayfield? 'Cause
He
Baker
is. He might be better than Baker Mayfield.
Well, guess
I
what?
don't
That's the
think he's
number
better
1
than
overall
Baker.
pick.
Look,
Number one overall
You know
pick.
that means nothing.
Look.
Where you're picked means nothing.
It means
It
everything.
doesn't mean a goddamn
he's
thing.
Mr.
Nothing.
Irrelevant, and
No,
you just told
Tom
me he's
Brady
better
was
than
a
the number 1
sixth-rounder.
overall
Jason,
pick.
doesn't
I
mean
don't
nothing.
care where Baker Mayfield was drafted. It doesn't matter.
I don't
at
care
all.
where anybody's drafted.
You're almost getting into your certain mood that you would like to talk about Antonio Brown, and we can
Oh,
go
yeah.
there if you want to.
We're talking Antonio Brown.
I don't want to talk about Antonio Brown.
We can talk about Antonio
He's
Brown.
still on a standoff.
You're almost
in
on
Tampa.
that. You're almost getting into that mood.
I got some
where you
things
might
I like
wanna
to
talk
say
about.
about Antonio
Look,
Brown.
look,
It's
I'm-
never ending.
I'm just stating the fact that I like what I'm seeing from Brock Purdy, and I think he can continue it in this offense.
All right,
That's
let's
all
get in a
I'm
better mood now and start making our easy money bets of the week. So
Oh,
that
it's all
means,
bad now.
Tanner, let's kick us off and make some people some money here
saying.
this week on the bets. So, how did we do last week, Tanner?
JG batted a big old 0.
Well, he didn't even.
I didn't
even
show
try.
up.
Didn't even show
Tell me
up.
what I was the week before that. I think I was 1 and 1 the week before that.
I like when Tanner
JG,
gets
if
out
you
the
really
pool.
want to know, week 14, you had the Raiders at 6.5. Didn't work out. Giants +7. Didn't work out. But Detroit -2. So you are now currently 9-11.
9-11 on the
Wow.
year. Hmm.
So
So I've only lost twice, basically, is what you're telling me.
He's
yeah,
lost
dude. Pretty
twice.
much.
Mm.
I'm like 85%
So-
winning percentage.
So week 15, last week, guys, no week 15 NFL season. No bets from JG. He was too busy in Vegas winning. So Mike had the Lions at +10 for whatever reason, but they hit, of course, and the Raiders at +10 for whatever reason, and they hit. Sounds like a couple dumb bets to me, and not go to the money line.
You
but
kidding me?
whatever.
Those are they both hit. I was right.
Go to the money line. Get
You
yourself
never-
some
hey,
big money.
If those games tied, I would be mad, wouldn't I?
Well, I wouldn't hear the end.
Because that's why you get to get the
So-
+1.
So Mike currently is 13-4.
Ugh.
Myself, a little rough on the NFL this week. San Francisco and Seattle over 43 did not happen because they seemed to choke themselves out, whatever Seattle did. The Falcons, money line at +187, or +184. I loved it. And Drake London's like, you know what? We're marching down to potentially win this game. I'm going to go ahead and just fumble the ball on a regular tackle. So lost that. But I did hit my college bet that you were so mad about.
Of course. he
Oregon
did. Of
State
course he
plus
did.
seven and a half,
got
baby.
a college bet correct.
10-19, guys. 10-19 for myself.
Incredible.
I got some good ones for you today, too. So, but you know what? We always start with JG. JG, kick it off.
You always start with a JG, and the JG always flocks to Houston. I'm going to go Houston +3. This is the game, guys. This is the one. They are 1-12-1 right now, but they usually come through with me. They are at Tennessee. Ryan Tannehill's a little bit banged up. Not that fucking matters, but
I think he's out actually.
yeah, well, he's banged up at any rate. They're going to go with Malik Willis. But this is the one. I believe in Houston, not just to cover, but to win. But just to be safe, I'm going to take Houston +3 against Tennessee.
Gotcha. You guys can get Houston here. That's what I always do. I call it out. You get Houston here at +3 on BetMGM at -105. Points bet at 107. Or you can go to the +5 for -110 on DraftKings.
Very nice. Very nice.
You got any other bets? There's just the one.
Just the one?
Just one this week, man. I'm kind of rusty right now, so I'm just going with the one game. I'll give you guys 2 games next week. Faux show.
I like it.
So, I gave you guys 2 games last week, nailed them both, so that was nice, of course. This week, just one. Just one this week. I don't like to go crazy, man. I'm 13-4 on my picks, which means if you bet $1,000 on every game, you'd be up almost $10,000.
You can get a little crazy.
No,
go money line or something.
No,
dude.
I'm doing money line right now.
No way.
But
Yes.
at what point is the pendulum going to swing in the other direction? You got to be careful here.
Well, maybe I know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
Jacksonville Jaguars face off against the New York Jets this weekend, obviously. And Trevor Lawrence has 7 touchdowns in the past 2 games, I mean. Meanwhile, the Jets are on the decline, as we've seen recently.
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson starting this week. The Jaguars did defeat the Dallas Cowboys recently as well. I love the Jaguars in this game. I love Trevor Lawrence and the way he's progressed this season. I think that we're truly seeing Trevor Lawrence mature at the NFL level.
Preach.
And I love Zay Jones had 3 touchdowns. Christian Kirk's a big part of the offense. And Evan Ingram is coming alive for the first time in his life, it feels like. All these guys are starting to make plays around this offense. I think the Jaguars, and Trevor Lawrence especially, are built to demolish a team like the Jets. In fact, I think they go out there and probably take care of business and beat them by 10 points. So yeah, give me those Jags and Trevor Lawrence to get the win straight up in the money line. So what are my odds? What am I going to win on that, Tanner?
All right, so you're looking right now, you can get even on BetMGM, -115 DraftKings, even FanDuel, +110 on PointsBet, and +105 on Caesars.
So that's actually moved a lot because
correct. It opened up at +115
Yeah.
for Jacksonville, and so your best odds is +110 currently for PointsBet. But it is starting to swing as we get closer to this game.
I totally disagree with you. I do believe in the Jaguars, like, for the rest of their games. I actually think they're going to make the playoffs this year. But for this one game, I think they're going to get their ass kicked. I think they're going to lose. Yeah, the Jets are going to beat them because it's a New York team.
I don't want to
The NFL officials are going to figure out a way. What did we just talk about? NFL officials will figure out a way to fuck this one up.
I don't want to hear
So I'm going to go with the Jets.
I'm going with my hot hand of Trevor Lawrence and his progression as a quarterback in the league.
Any others?
Tanner, you want me to do another one?
Yeah.
Do another
Well,
one.
do another one.
damn
You
it.
guys are bastards.
Get another
Just
one,
go ahead.
baby.
You
Are
need
you
a
trying to bring my record down? Like, you're just like, oh, maybe Michael wing one and I can start giving him some L's.
I would never
hey.
try to do that. I'm trying to help our viewers.
I
I
dare
help my
you.
viewers every week.
I
I'm
dare
13-4.
I dare you to bet against Brock Purdy right now. I dare you.
I'm not. Okay.
Big fucking
Washington.
baller.
How about
Big
plus 7?
baller.
Now, how about this? If I was to give you one more,
He won't do it, man.
Seahawks cover the 10. That's my one more.
Ooh.
That's such a lame.
All right.
How was that lame?
It's not lame. It just could go either way.
Tanner, when you write that down in your book, by the way, put that as in parentheses when they said one more without any research. When I make my easy money picks of the week, guys, it's with much thought about concern for the audience. So I don't just wing it, like some people do. And so you guys have to do one more. It's hard for me to just throw one out there.
That is true. You put your money where your mouth is. I do appreciate that.
I have a
about
legitimate
you.
reason for why I picked the Jaguars or why I picked the teams I picked.
Yeah.
You do put your money where your mouth is, and I appreciate that because I do that most of the time, but there are a couple games here and there where I just don't throw the money down.
I think
Chiefs don't
the
cover.
Seahawks plus 10 needs to be off the record.
Yeah.
personally.
All right. Well, I put choke on it. So,
Chiefs are gonna.
you know,
They're gonna. Chiefs are
well,
gonna
no.
cover. It's gonna
So
be.
he
a
goes, they're
blowout.
gonna cover.
I don't
That's
think
gonna be a
Chiefs
blowout.
cover.
See, I'm
Dude.
saying that they're not gonna cover.
I got so we got plus 10 at minus 110 on BetMGM, plus 9.5 still on DraftKings, minus 105.
We just created
You
the
gotta go plus
narrative,
10.
guys,
plus
on this
10
show.
minus 107 points bet.
We just created the narrative on this show, like about that officiating crew. This is going to be a fucking blowout,
I
or
got
at least
the-
by 13, 14 points.
I got Chiefs by 7 in the game. That's why I'm going Chiefs by 7.
So you think it's going to be flags all over the place, just like in the
Yeah.
Houston game?
Yep.
That's fucking retarded. I mean,
I think it's gonna happen. That's
I
what's
didn't
gonna
mean
happen.
that.
So-
I didn't mean that word right now.
God.
Well, that's 2 hard R words you used today.
Yeah, dude.
So you're
that's
gonna-
hard art. Like you're
You're
suspended.
gonna offend some sensitive
suspended
people
here.
out there. I
Well,
guess.
is that do I get 12 hours on Twitter?
No,
Well,
that's like
you-
a show. So you're
I think you
12
get
hours.
1 R word and 1 F word, and otherwise,
So we're
you're-
good. I'm good then. All right.
No,
Moving
you
right
used
along.
to.
You use 2 R words.
and a 2-3 F words.
I'm going to serve my 12-hour suspension here pretty soon.
Which I
Lord
got
mercy.
suspended this week on Twitter too, myself actually, for 12 hours.
Well, it says you're yelling like Carl Sheffers.
I talked about hoping he drinks a gallon of antifreeze.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happens if you do that, but I mean, if you
can't be
tried, I
good.
wouldn't be mad.
Can't be good. All right, guys. Here's my easy money bets going into play. I actually have a few of them because it is bowl week as well.
College.
Bowl weekend starts.
Talk about
again.
college.
There's continues again. But I'll give you 3 NFL picks and I'll give you 2 college. Okay. For this
3 NFL picks?
3 NFL picks.
You got some ground to make up.
I love this. So I like the Lions at minus 2.5 this week. You can find that at minus 110 on points bet and Caesars. You can get the minus 3 if you really want at minus 105 on DraftKings. I'm sticking with the minus 2.5. There, I like the Jags money line. I'm doubling down on that. I think I'm riding 2 hot hands right now between Detroit and the
You
Jags.
guys are going to
Believe-
get slaughtered
No.
on that Jack.
No,
Believe in Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, you're going to get
I
slaughtered.
love what I'm seeing.
Trevor Lawrence is the man.
And then my final NFL pick, guys, and I'm trying them again here. I know it didn't work out last week, but we're going the Falcons over Baltimore. Tyler Huntley is banged up, injured. This Baltimore team can't seem to generate offense, let alone stop anybody.
Dude, they got Sammy Watkins now.
I don't
They're
freaking
good.
care
They
who
got Sammy Watkins.
They're missing like.
Which, by the way,
900
Sammy
players.
Watkins, when he was claimed, said, "I'm glad I have a job."
Yeah,
That's what he said.
which is fair.
So how do you feel about being part of the Ravens again? I have a job.
Yeah. Right. So I got Atlanta covering the plus 7.5, minus 110, minus 115 on DraftKings FanDuel, minus 107 on points bet.
By the way, with Sammy Watkins, there were a handful of turds out there that actually wanted him to come back to the Chiefs.
Yes.
Were you guys on board with that?
No.
Were you
They
putting
wanted
that
him to
out
sign on
there?
the practice squad.
That was you, Tanner, wasn't
No,
it? You were
I
putting
don't
that
want
shit
Sammy
out there.
Watkins. I know who
Yeah.
it was,
Well.
and I'm not going to say their name.
All right, you're not going to admit it now, but
It ain't
Who-
me.
Who wanted Watkins?
The Chiefs, not Chiefs concerns. It's Chiefs something insiders. I don't know, some dumb.
Like what? Yeah.
It was the dumbest thing I ever read. Like they gotta stop that. Like they're the ones that
People-
also wanted like
This
Josh
this
Gordon
fan
when he was
base,
cut
man.
and
Dude, this fan base though is
sign
the most
everybody,
ridiculous.
dude.
No, it's they want everyone back.
Yeah.
Every time someone leaves,
Dedication, man.
then they want him back. You remember the Kareem Hunt? Like everyone's like, you gotta bring back Kareem Hunt.
Yeah,
And
the
everyone's been
trade,
doing
the
this
trade for
shit
Kareem
for-
Hunt was
trade
on
for
the
Kareem
site,
Hunt.
and I read it, and I'm like, this makes zero sense. to me.
It's gone on forever with this
It's
fan
so
base
bad.
where like everyone's like, you got to bring back the old players.
We ain't gonna bring
The only
back
one they should have
anybody,
brought back was
people.
maybe Justin freaking Houston. Maybe that'd have been nice.
there are people out there that would be perfectly happy if you brought as a backup quarterback Joe Montana back into the fold to
See,
play
even
backup quarterback. There are those people out there.
even 60-year-old Joe Montana could run that Kyle Shanahan 49ers off.
Here we go. I ain't
Ooh,
going
here we
to this
go.
right
Here we go. That's an insult to Mr.
Ooh,
Irrelevant.
South
He's
Alabama's
pissed.
losing.
He should be
Just
pissed. He should be.
You're just
That
gonna
one
piss him
hurt.
off and make him play better now.
All right,
Yeah.
so we gotta. We obviously got a week until we talk next here, so there's a bunch of bowl games going on. So I'll give you a couple that I like going into play. I like Bowling Green at minus 3.5. I think they're a better team over New Mexico State, so I like that game very comfortably. That happens.
I do agree with you on that one for once.
You do?
I normally disagree with you, but I do agree with you on
Yeah,
that.
so that's on Monday, guys, for that one. I would pick KU over Arkansas, but I don't trust it right now. And then the next game,
What about Missouri? You got Missouri pick on there?
I like Wake Forest, dude.
Yeah, me too.
What do you mean you don't like KU? What the hell's wrong with you? You're wearing a KU.
I love KU. I don't like them covering the. I don't know. I don't.
You're wearing a KU hoodie right
Arkansas had a lot of good, decent wins and close.
Take
closer
that off,
games.
you traitor. Put on a different shirt.
I'm a realist, like Mike. I like on Tuesday we have East Carolina and Coastal Carolina. East Carolina and Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina 9-3. East Carolina 7-5. I love actually East Carolina covering the spread of 7.5 as a favorite. If you look at their games they won, I watched actually their first game against NC State, which was a blast. But you got close games at NC State on both sides of the ball. They beat Tulane, or sorry, didn't beat Tulane. They beat BYU. It was some high-scoring games with Cincy. It was a close game. Outside really the blowout against Houston, which Houston's a better team overall. I'm okay with this. So I don't know. I kind of like the quarterback in the team. So I'm going East Carolina -7.5. You can find that looks like over on Caesars for -110 or PointsBet for -105.
So real quick, I know it's early, Tanner, but if you got to go K-State or Alabama coming up at the end of the year, which way are you going? Which way are you leaning?
I got to see who's playing for Alabama.
Well, all of them are.
If everybody's playing for Alabama,
Everyone's playing for Alabama.
I'm going to Alabama.
Okay, I don't blame you. That's a fair assessment.
I feel like there's difference between an SEC team of Arkansas and Missouri, and then you got the Georgia, the Alabama, the LSU. Or LSU, actually, you're missing a few players, right?
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah. Well,
So I don't.
wouldn't fully. Hey, K-State did beat an undefeated TCU team.
Yeah, but TCU isn't.
Isn't what? They were undefeated
Yeah.
before that
I'm
game.
not gonna talk about that yet.
All right, well,
So-
I just figured I'd ask. We'll dig into that more later down the stretch here.
We got another at least weeks.
Yeah, we got next week.
Next
we'll talk.
week?
Next week we'll talk more about those games, about the serious bowl games that actually matter.
We'll be talking about that on Buffoon and Bockin's Monday night as well, guys, with Jim
yeah.
Behringer. So, and maybe Mike can join if he really wants.
Which day?
Monday night.
Monday night. Yeah, I mean, maybe
You can jump on for a 20 minute segment.
You just got to remind me. You got to say something, and that
Okay.
way I don't forget. Because Mondays are my relaxed days, where I literally don't do a goddamn thing when I get home. I
That's not a
get
bad
home from
thing.
work and I just watch YouTube or TV, sit on the couch. I drink water. I don't do anything on Mondays.
That's
Besides
kinda
that.
like-
that's what I do on
It's fair
Mondays.
bet, man.
Seriously.
That's exactly what Tanner does every day, like 7 days a week. So I'm glad you took that upon yourself to do it one day a
He
week.
motivated me for that lifestyle. So
You guys wish.
I was all about that
You
stuff.
wish.
So, okay, guys. Well, any final thoughts or comments before we say goodbye?
Go Chiefs, baby. Make it happen.
No, I
Make
won't
it
do
happen.
I won't.
Make
do
it happen.
Everybody catch us on Saturday at Let's Talk Sports. I'll be on there for the game day show before all the big games go on. No show on Christmas, of course. So
I will say I'm very excited to watch Geno Smith, who at one point was my Choco Peony. I wanted the Chiefs to draft him back in the day. And now I'm getting to see Geno Smith against Patrick Mahomes, who ended up being my true half Choco Peony. So I am excited to witness that unfold
It'll be a great fucking game.
because you guys know how much I love Geno Smith coming out of the draft, and things didn't work out great, but I'm glad things worked out the way they did, because in the end we got the best quarterback ever.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. Everybody have a fabulous Christmas. Hopefully all goes well. And we'll catch you guys next Wednesday.
and I'll see y'all on the next one.
Outro.
See you.